And here's where we want to discuss our topic that I chose tonight to talk about. Our former mayor, everybody's familiar with him, Ed Koch, died. And he was buried this week and was certainly in the news very much. He was a Jewish man. And he's got such praises from people who eulogized him, people who interviewed. All the mayors, former mayors, spoke so highly of him. And how do we look at a person like that? From a real Jewish viewpoint. Is he a good guy or a bad guy? Well, let's analyze it. He was two people. He was a civil servant, a mayor of one of the biggest cities in the world for many terms, and he was a Jew. The part of him that was a civil servant was very outstanding, according to everybody who is in politics. They all feel that he put the city on its feet. It was almost by collapse when he took over. And he, with his courage and his great powers of speech and actions, he saved New York City. A very smart man, very witty man, good sense of humor, and very good politician. And he did many good things for the city. That's the one side of him as a civil servant and the mayor of the great city of New York. But the side of him being Jewish was miserable, terrible. And a person of his stature and of his greatness, so to speak, his lack of being Jewish is much worse than a simple person, who people don't look up to that person for anything special. But for this person who's outstanding, who's known internationally, people look up to him to see what he does, and they learn from him. I made a list of things that came to my mind. He said he was proud to be Jewish. The question is, what was he proud of? What does it mean to be Jewish? He's proud to be Jewish. To be what? What's it mean to be Jewish? He's proud that his ancestors were Jewish, proud that he comes from Abraham, Isaac, and Yitzhak, and Yaakov, and Jacob, and Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, all the great matriarchs and patriarchs. Are they proud of him? He's proud to come from them? Are they proud that he comes from them? What does it mean to be proud to be Jewish? What is Jewish? Just because you were born, your mother was Jewish, that means being Jewish, that's it? That's what the Jewish people are. All the generations that we had, ancestors that were Jewish, and we're Jewish, that's it. He did not eat kosher food, and he did not make a secret of it either. At least if you do things that are not Jewish, don't make a whole spiel out of it. Don't brag about eating with this one and that restaurant, and this one, so on. Eating non-kosher food. Some people don't know better. I don't know what he knew either. I don't know what kind of education he had. But he openly desecrated Shabbos, desecrated the holidays. Proud to be Jewish. What means Jewish? What's Jewish about you? People look up to him. Look at him. He's such a great man. And he's Jewish. Look what he does. So why can't I do it? We're told by our rabbis that Jewish people have three great things about them. They're called Rachmanim, Baishanim, Gomei Chasadim. People with merciful people, the Jewish people. The kind people. We have over in our list over here. Number 12. And Baishanim, bashful people. Edel, nice, fine, refined. Two of the three he had. He was a very kind person, a very merciful person, but he was not a very bashful person. He was full of bashing, that he was, but not bashful. He was a very coarse person, and he spoke about what he liked to speak about. Did he work on himself? What's a great person? A person, I have over here, that number 13, the main purpose of creation of man was to perfect his character traits. The mayor did not work on himself. The way he was born, that's how he acted. He was very smart, witty, that God gave him that. He didn't no pat on the back for himself. God made him smart. God made him witty. It wasn't they worked on himself. Was he a very nice person? Very refined the way he spoke? No. No. People say he was New York. Is New York such a great thing? New York it's a perfect city of the world. People coming to New York feel that there's a lot of things in New York that are not so great. One of them, people are not as refined as other places are. Out of town, refined people, the way they talk. You know, the big cities, naturally, people are not so subdued in the way they talk and the niceness. And he certainly didn't show that at all. He was the way he was born. That's why he acted. Man made, God made him. I'm sure he has plenty of enemies, this person. Everybody came to say of all the great things he did, what a nice guy he was, and so on. A person like that with such a coarseness to him. I'm sure a lot of private people, a lot of politicians have a lot of not such great feeling towards a person like that. He's very coarse and rough. Not the way a real Jewish person is supposed to act with a refined type of nature. We have a man by the name of Joe Lieberman. I'm sure you know from New Jersey. You know, he's a religious man. He's a religious man. What? Connecticut. Connecticut. Liked by everybody, very fine politician, did for his constituents very wonderful things. Religious man. And he was a good politician. Koch could have been the same thing if he would behave himself and act like a Jewish person. Lieberman keeps Shabbos, keeps Yom Tov, eats kosher, and he's a great politician. People like him. He did very good. He retired recently, I think, whatever it is. But you can be a politician, you can be a mayor of New York, and you can be religious also and keep Torah and mitzvahs to a certain extent. I mean, if you know to a full extent, but if according to what you know. His funeral, if you heard about it, was a big show. Everybody coming and people laughing and laughing and laughing. That's a funeral, Jewish funeral. Get up and have a laugh and make all kinds of jokes and about a person. By a Jewish priest, the funeral is a very solemn occasion. A person is being judged at the time when a person dies. He's being judged in heaven. Whether he goes up there or goes down there. It's a very solemn occasion when a person dies. So not Jewish. Everybody got to see how much humor they can have, more than the other one, to people to laugh. And to top it all off, buried in a Christian cemetery. Bandit. I'm sure even the non-Jews are eyebrow raising. A Jewish man, every religion buries their people in their religious place. I'm sure the non-Jews are very wondering how a person can do a thing like that. To go and do it against his whole background. He's proud to be Jewish. This is something which is called the people that do bad things, they say they're good, but they're bad by the righteous. He says that he would go and eat in people's homes. They tell him, all the non-Jewish people, he eat with them. All the holidays, he go for the holidays to them. So that's very good, because you make good relationships like that. And that's bad by us. You don't have to be against your religion. If you keep your religion, you're respected by the non-Jewish people. They don't think badly about you. But it goes, I think he went into non-Jewish places of worship more than he went to a shul. I don't know how he went to a shul. I don't know when he went to. Maybe he went to Yom Kippur. I don't know. But I know he used to go to listen to the cardinal speak every time on their holiday, on the eve. He used to speak to them. Other places of worship, he went all the time. I went to shuls. I never went to shul. So he's making a very good impression. There's a Jewish person going to. By him, it's good. But by us, it's bad. That's not how a Jewish person acts. So the connection here is that which is people that are doing bad things and they think they're good by tzaddikim. That's a lovan. That's a lovan to Yaakov. Don't speak to them anything good or bad, because whatever's good by you is bad by him. You have all kinds of ideas of what good and bad is, but that's not the same idea of a tzaddik, of a great man, of a great Jewish person. And this is something that we really have to think about. Because sometimes we get sidetracked, and we talked about by all these great people. He's wonderful, but how great he was. He was a great civil servant, a great mayor, but not a great Jew. And the purpose of a person coming to this world is not to be a great mayor, it's to be a great Jew. Naturally, if you can be a great mayor and help the world, it's very good, but not to give up your Judaism and rely on the fact that you're doing other things which people might think are great. We have to think what God thinks is great. This is what Yaakov was, that's what Lavan was, and this we have to keep our ideas of what's great and what's not great straight. We shouldn't lose our sight of what God wants from us. You can't say, well, somebody did this and this, he was such a great person, we can forget about everything else, forget about his Judaism, can't forget about Jews. That's first and foremost, we have to be good Jews. Then we can talk about being going further than that and helping society, helping the city. That's very nice, wonderful, but not to give up our Judaism because of that. So this is what I want to bring out tonight and connect it to what we're learning, and maybe we could have some questions if anyone wants to ask.
Rabbi, you spoke about Ed Koch, of course, maybe to summarize it in a very one-word description, that he was not a good Jew, he was not a good person. Is he any better or worse than an Orthodox Jew who davens 3 times a day, puts on tefillin, sits his mezuzahs, eats kosher, yet in his business dealings he is dishonest, he's cheating, he cheats on his income taxes, he does maybe other acts that are inappropriate? Is he any different as a good Jew?
We've talked about many times before. We'll say it again. A Jew has to keep all the laws of the Torah. To put on tefillin, to keep Shabbos, to be honest, and to do what he has to do between man and man, between man and God. And if he doesn't, he's not Orthodox. He might be Orthodox in one way, but not a different way. So we don't look at a person that does one thing and doesn't the other thing. You have to have everything. You can't have just say, well, I'll take these things and I'll take those things. Who's better and who's worse, we'll leave that to God to judge who's better and worse. We don't know who's better and who's worse. But we know that everybody, as a Jewish person, has to keep all the laws of the Torah to be considered a pious Jew. So he has to keep the laws between man and man. He has to be honest. He has to be not steal anything, not steal in the workplace. We said before, the Yaakov Avinu, to keep all the hours that he's being paid for, and all the laws have to be kept to be considered a religious Jew. So who's worse and who's better? That's for God to decide. But we're not going to justify a Jew who puts on tefillin and say he's allowed to steal. That's no justification. So that's my answer to that. You got to do it all. If you want to be pious, you want to be religious, you got to do it all. You can't do part.
Rabbi, we're talking about Koch. Zichrono livracha. Are we allowed to talk, to say what we're saying about somebody that he died? He can't defend himself. He can't say, let's say, we saw him eating with somebody. Maybe he didn't eat. No, or he can defend himself. Now he can't. No, are we allowed to talk about?
We see what he did. I mean, all the years, and yeah, you're allowed to talk about it. Yes,
and now that he is buried in non-Jewish place, he died. He died.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he didn't bury himself. Somebody else buried him.
Well, he left the committee. He said he wanted to be buried there.
He said that?
It has tombstone was prepared already. He chose to be next to the subway stop. That was his choice. So.
Thank you. Can I ask another question?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go to Lavan. Lavan, he had the holy, how I say, like, he spoke with Hashem. Hashem came.
Lavan?
Yeah, I mean, Hashem came to him in a dream and he told him about Yaakov, don't talk to him and don't go
dream,
to
him. Yeah.
So he was so holy that Hashem went to him in a dream?
No, only because of Yaakov Avinu, to save him. That's why. Otherwise he never came to him. Only because of the schut of Yaakov,
okay,
to tell him we better not start up with him. That's why he...
So according to the modern times, we have many different diversifications of what we consider to be Jews. Orthodox, conservative, Reformed, or Reconstructionist, Renewal. And I guess that I think that because Koch thought of himself as being Jewish, doesn't mean, what other people might think of him. He thought of himself that way, whether he was following the regulations or not. That he thought that he was, doing the right things. And I think, according to some of the Jews that are around, he may have been performing the way that particular group of people perform. They don't keep kosher. I don't know about the Sabbath. They may or may not keep the Sabbath. And yet they consider themselves to be Jewish. Maybe some other groups of Jewish people don't consider that. So, how do you make a judgment?
Okay,
how can you make a judgment on another person
if it came
that way?
To Koch and somebody went through a red light, and somebody will say, well, I think that's okay, go red light.
Well, under certain circumstances, it may be.
The speed limit was 65. I'm going to go 75. I know a lot of my friends go 75. That's okay. Koch, will Koch say to him? I mean, him now with his grum. What do you mean? That's the law. You would think like that? You have friends like that? It's too
Yeah,
bad.
but the law
This
is interpreted
this the
by
law.
you, by one group of people,
Oh, no,
and
no,
interpreted
one
by
second.
another
No,
group
no,
of
let's-
people. So we don't
one
know
second.
what's right.
We know the way the Torah was given on Mount Sinai. And we know that the Torah was kept until about 100 years ago. Those people who went away from it, they can't always say, now, this is the Torah. It doesn't float. You can't all of a sudden, like the Arabs saying, it wasn't Isaac who Abraham took to be on the sacrifice. It was Ishmael. The Arabs come along. You know that? Yes. The Arabs come and say, it wasn't Isaac, it was Ishmael. So what do we say to them? What are you talking about? Everybody knows the Torah was written years ago. The Christians have the Torah. The Jews have the Torah. You're going to come along and say it was Ishmael, not Yitzchak? It's ridiculous, right? We get all upset about that. So now we're coming to say now, Shabbos was kept for thousands of years. And now this reform guy comes along, you don't have to keep Shabbos. You're going to listen to him? Oh, no. Now, that's a part of Judaism. Now he being part of Judaism. You can't change Judaism. That's the way it was. That's the way it's going to be. And Yitzchak was brought on the Mizbeach, not Ishmael. Shabbos was kept as Shabbos. Kosher was kosher. Somebody come along now and say, well, kosher is this, kosher is that. You can't do that. It's not. You want to make a new Judaism, well, make a Judaism, but don't call that the traditional Judaism. Traditional, we know what it is, and you can't change that. If you don't want to keep it, somebody says they want to be reformed, but don't call that authentic Judaism. That was not. So what Koch was doing to bury himself in a non-Jewish cemetery, he said, well, that's what he thinks. Everything, do whatever you want. No society accepts people do what they want. There's certain rules. You have to keep the rules, whether you like it or not. You have to subordinate yourself to these rules. So he doesn't care. It didn't bother him at all, and therefore I consider him not a good person, not a good Jew. He's a Jewish. He's born Jewish. We're not saying he's not Jewish. He's born Jewish. Yeah, his mother's Jewish. He's Jewish, but a good Jew. He was a good politician, a good civil servant, wonderful. But he's not a good Jew. He wasn't a good Jew. And to the extent, what most people you say today maybe didn't know better, but I can't say about him. To bury himself in a non-Jewish cemetery, he should know better than that. And there's some, God will judge him, whatever it is, but we have to look at that to know, just to make sure. The reason I'm saying this whole thing tonight is that we should have our ideas and the outlook on Judaism have to be straight. But what's considered good, what's not good. He was eulogized up to the heaven. Everybody's great. He's great. Not so great. So we have to realize what's good and what's not good. That's right. But some people. Well, he helped Israel a lot. The Israeli counselor got up and said he helped Israel a lot. He did some good things. I'm not saying there are any good things, but to be openly so not Jewish, openly, if you do it by yourself quietly, but openly Shabbos, kosher, all these things that it made a whole open desecration of Torah law. That I can't respect a person like that. If you want to do it on your own, whatever it is, but you're in the public eye, just keep to yourself what you do. That's not Jewish. It's an insult to the Jews. There's such a big population of Jews in New York. So Jews and people who keep Shabbos, keep kosher, and it's an insult to themselves. They're insulting us. You're the Jewish mayor, and you get up and do all these things. The same thing with today's mayor. The same thing with him. With Bloomberg, the same thing. He does all things openly, goes to the kosher restaurants, goes in Shabbos and everything. It's very disgusting. He's a Jewish person. He shouldn't be doing that. You want to do it privately, okay, but you're insulting us. Insult to the Jewish people.
I got a question via email about Mr. Koch. He said, does he get credit for always fearlessly expressing his pride at being a Jew and for his outspoken support of Israel? In other words, of course, the Mashiach mentioned about how saying that you're proud about being a Jew, but being proud of what? But at least this is from a man named Arthur Bader. Does he get credit, in other words, for just coming out and saying it so proudly and in public about that and about support of Israel?
We have a general rule: God does not take away reward from anybody, any good thing that they do. If he comes and says he's proud to be a Jew, so then that shows he's not trying to hide it. He shows pride, whatever it means to him. I'm saying it doesn't mean much, but whatever it means, it's something that a lot of people can feel the same type of feeling if he's such an outstanding person in the world and he's proud to be, so other Jews also can be proud. And for saying that, certainly we get reward, or for helping Israel, we get reward. Whatever he does good, he gets reward for it. There's no question about it. We don't say bad cancels out the good. Whatever person does good, he gets paid for good for it. No question about it. We're not taking away what he did. We're not taking away from him.
A question, a couple of questions, actually. Okay. Being Jewish and being religious is two different things. You could be Jewish and not religious.
Correct.
Okay. So, but you're saying he is Jewish and he's admitting and he's proud to be Jewish, just because he wasn't religious does not make him not a good person.
Being Jewish means that you are born a Jew.
Right, he said my mother was a Jew, my father was a Jew,
So what's to be
and
proud
I'm
of?
Jewish.
Why is it proud to be Jewish?
But
What's
he's
to be
proud of being born from the Jewish race.
The Jewish race? But what is a Jewish
We're
race?
a race.
What makes a Jew into a Jew? What makes a Jew?
But it doesn't make, religion does not make the person.
Oh, yes, it does. That was the whole purpose of being Jewish. We go back
You
to
could be
to
Jewish,
Abraham.
but you don't
We
have
go
to
back
be
Abraham.
religious.
We go back to Abraham and the whole choosing.
But he wasn't religious. Abraham wasn't religious.
Yes, he was.
They didn't have tzitzits back then.
Yes, he did. Absolutely did. Absolutely did. Abraham put on tzitzis.
It's going to be a
So,
it's going to be...
going back to the original Jews, Abraham was a Jew because God made a covenant with him. He's going to give him the Torah, that he will get the mitzvahs of the Torah. That's what made him Jewish. Jewish means accepting the Torah, and that is what...
But it doesn't mean being religious. It means accepting the
Accepting
Torah.
the Torah means religious.
Maybe can't.
Keeping
Meir
the Torah is
Koch.
religious. What means religion? Religious means keep religion. The Torah is what the covenant God would make with Abraham is going to be, told him that I will choose you to be my nation, and you'll be the ones to accept the Torah in Mount Sinai. That is what the whole purpose of Jewish was. In order to accept the Torah, which is religion, to keep the laws of the Torah. So now a person could be born religious, he doesn't have to go through a conversion if he wants to become religious because he's born a Jew. But to say I'm proud to be Jewish and not keep religion, I'm asking what's to be proud about. Proud means being a Jew means keeping the Torah. That goes synonymous with one with the other.